For a lot of us, our knowledge on radios never extended past the walkie-talkies we'd buy off a Walmart shelf. And for many of us, those were just fun toys while playing manhunt or even going camping. But communication is the keystone to our social construct as human beings. And being able to maintain communication during a stressful time can make or break your survival. So along with guns, ammo, and medical, I want to stress the importance of radios and how you can get yourself started without breaking the bank. I want to disclose that I am not a radio expert, but with my persistence to learning how to be a more prepared citizen, I have taken the liberty to dive into this ecosystem to get a better understanding on how all this works. For a more in-depth explanation of what the possibilities are of these radios, I directed to the YouTube channels like the Ham Radio Crash Course or Isaac Botkin on T-Rex Labs. But for the new guy on the block, I want to share some basic common knowledge in this space. I promise this won't be too confusing, but simply a preliminary crash course. In this video, we will be talking mainly about ham and GMRS radios, and we're going to stay away from the other types just so we don't get too confused, like FRS radios, because those have their limits. They're limited to a max output of 2 watts, have limited range, and can't utilize repeaters. But I'll explain more further in this video. So why do we need radios? And why choose them over the technology we already have? Cell phones. Though cell phones are very convenient, they do have their drawbacks. Cell phones rely on cellular networks, which are essentially a system of interconnected cell towers managed by telecom providers. Each tower covers a small geographic area, or cell, and cell phones switch from one tower to another as a user moves. For voice and data transmission, the phone sends data packets to the nearest tower, which then routes the data through the internet or the cellular network to reach its destination. Cell networks operate in a duplex mode, meaning they can send and receive data simultaneously. Two-way radios are simpler in design and often operate without any infrastructure, but they have the added benefit of utilizing repeaters to extend their range. Traditionally, two-way radios use simplex communication, meaning they transmit and receive on the same frequency, but not simultaneously. When one person is talking, the other listens. We aren't going to cover bandwidth and frequencies in this video, but if that's something you'd be interested in, definitely leave a comment below. But with this information, it's easy to see why you would want to invest in a few radios for your family, friends, or even in certain instances, your business. Being able to have a network of communication that doesn't rely on an infrastructure of network towers can be very useful in a variety of scenarios. Blackouts, natural disasters, or just trying to find communication to ask for help if you're lost can be all achieved with two-way radios. Let's look at recent events. Hurricane Helene. A lot of people were affected in Florida and North Carolina in more ways than one. And I am so proud that many of you and other Americans pitched in to help in any way we could. But a lot of cell towers in these areas were destroyed, and many were stuck needing medical help with no way to contact the outside world. Disasters like this take cellular networks out of the game. But with radios, we can go into these remote and even rural areas knowing we still have a line of communication. Radios also have much longer battery lives than cell phones. This is because they are designed with a singular purpose: communication. Cell phones are designed to execute a variety of tasks, such as browsing the internet and running different apps, while radios are just simply built for communication. Radios are also built with a certain level of durability in mind. This is why you'll see hunters, backpackers, and even first responders using radios in more adverse scenarios. As civilians, we should be investing into radios. This will give you a reliable line of communication to emergency personnel, communication in rural or remote areas, and give you access to outgoing emergency broadcasts if something were to happen to the cellular infrastructure. Now, on the flip side, a two-way radio also has some benefits in the tactical realm. With this, you'll be providing you and your group with a reliable line of communication by adding a radio to your kit. But some of the other benefits are having real-time communication if you find yourself and your group in a tough situation. This will allow you to coordinate movements and strategies and helps minimize confusion in the heat of things. This will also amplify your team's situational awareness, simply because you will have many eyes working in conjunction in the given area you decide to operate in. For example, if you're scouting ahead and come across environmental challenges, you can easily communicate this with your group before they reach you and work to problem solve the situation beforehand. Also, if you opt for radios that you can encrypt, you will have a stealthier way of communication for you and your team. All of these will increase your odds completing whatever task or mission your group is set out to do. So earlier I mentioned we'll be talking about two types of radios in this video: GMRS, and ham radios. I do want you to know there are a ton of other radio types out there, such as digital mobile radios and multi-use radio services. But I want to stick with ham and GMRS radios because that's what most of you either own or more than likely going to own if you are just getting into radios. So ham and GMRS, what are they and what are the differences? Ham radios, also known as amateur radios, is a type of radio communication system that allows individuals to communicate over a wide range of frequencies. They are very versatile and have the ability to operate on many different frequency bands, allowing communication locally, regionally, and even globally. These radios can transmit at a significantly higher power than many other handheld radios, and they can utilize repeaters to further extend their range. By themselves, handheld ham radios can reach out to 1 to 5 miles depending on the conditions. 5 miles being in perfect conditions with an easy line of sight. But with repeaters, you can extend this out from 10 to even 30 miles given the circumstances. A typical ham radio can output around 5 to 8 watts, while base stations and mobile units can output anywhere between 10 to 1500 watts, depending on the setup and licensing. Speaking of licensing, you will need a license to broadcast on a ham radio. This is under the FCC regulations, and you can sign up to take a test in your local area online. But you do not need a license to receive transmissions, so you can listen to what people are saying on different frequencies for as long as you want. Do keep in mind that the FCC allows you to transmit on a ham radio in an emergency situation without a license. So keep that in mind if you find yourself in a natural disaster or any other emergency. Now, for me personally, I don't have a license. I don't feel the need to have one, and I'm not gonna go any deeper than that in this video. Deal with that information as you must. A GMRS radio, or General Mobile Radio Service, is a two-way radio system that operates on specific frequencies in the UHF, ultra high frequency band. GMRS is known for its relatively high power output, which gives it a greater range and stronger performance, especially over the FRS radios. GMRS radios operate on 22 channels, and some of these channels overlap with FRS frequencies. So GMRS and FRS radios can communicate with each other on these shared channels. GMRS radios can access repeaters just like ham radios. This is particularly helpful for covering longer distances, overcoming obstacles, or ensuring coverage in difficult terrains. In the US, GMRS radios require an FCC license to operate as well. But unlike ham radios, no exam is necessary. You just have to pay for the license. The license is relatively inexpensive and lasts for about 10 years and covers the whole family under that one license. These radios can also cover several miles depending on the terrain and environmental factors. The range for these radios is pretty similar to ham, 1 to 5 miles depending on the terrain and the conditions. But overall, GMRS radios are very user-friendly and don't require too much technical knowledge to operate. So now that we've gotten into the nitty-gritty of the technicalities of each type of radio, what would I recommend for a beginner to start off with? It's probably very obvious, but the Baofeng UV-5R is what I'd recommend for someone to start off with. Quickly gained popularity worldwide due to its accessible price point, practical features, and adaptability. With its price point at $16 to $22, you have the perfect entry into the amateur radio space. First up, dual band capability, allowing you to communicate on 2 different frequency bands. The UV-5R operates on both VHF and UHF frequencies, which is ideal for ham and GMRS FRS users. Then we have a dual watch mode, which lets you monitor 2 frequencies simultaneously. Perfect if you're keeping an ear on both a local weather channel and a personal frequency. This radio has an output of 4 to 5 watts, providing decent range for a handheld radio. And it can typically reach 1 to 5 miles, like I mentioned before, just depending on the terrain and obstructions. This radio offers 128 programmable channels and a built-in FM radio for listening to local FM stations. And let's not forget the detachable antenna. This means you can replace it with a higher gain antenna for improved range, which is a favorite modification amongst many users. There are many antennas you can purchase to help extend the range of this radio as a standalone. Some are exponentially taller, and some have the ability to fold over, like the Embry antennas, and that can save you some space on your kit. Another important upgrade you can add to your Baofeng is swapping the factory battery for the extended battery. With the extended battery, you can get up to 30 to 36 hours depending on use. Mind you, this is from continuous use without turning the radio off. You can definitely exceed these times if you periodically turn off the radio in between uses. But just like collecting magazines for your AR, you want to load up on batteries just in case you are forced to use this radio for an extended period of time. Eventually, you'll want to purchase a more robust and durable radio down the line with significantly more battery life. But as I've stated many times in this video, this is a great starting point for new people getting into radios. I almost forgot two other upgrades that I highly recommend. One is buying an O-ring for your volume knob, because this volume knob is very easy to turn and you could accidentally turn this on or turn the volume down too low without noticing it. So the O-ring adds friction to the volume knob, giving you more resistance and a more positive feel when turning the volume knob. And another upgrade that I still haven't gotten, obviously, is the PTT Guard. PTT Guards are a 3D printed solution to prevent you from accidentally pressing the PTT button. Lastly, just buying a radio is not enough. You need to learn how to program your radio for local frequencies in your area. You want to spend time looking up your local weather channel, EMS, and repeater frequencies, then programming them into your radio so that you have quick access to them. You can use softwares like Chirp to do this, and you want to buy yourself a solid programming cable, like this BTECH PC03 FTDI. If you don't get a solid cable, you may have some connectivity issues, so definitely invest in a quality one. All of these upgrades and recommendations that I mentioned in this video will be in the description below, so you can check it out for yourself. And these links are not affiliated. This is just me putting this information out there so you guys can make your own decisions. I hope I was able to help some of you guys realize the importance of acquiring a radio, and definitely want to see more of us getting into this area of preparedness. If you guys have any more thoughts on the subject, definitely leave it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to try to communicate with you guys and have a discussion with you. That's all I have for you guys today. So as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.